what we found in our reporting in terms of how we got to this critical moment that could mean the end or the severe gutting of Roe v. Wade and abortion rights in America is that the Trump White House, from then President Trump on down to some of his most senior lieutenants in prepping for the confirmation, for instance, of then Judge Brett Kavanaugh, were engaged in what you or I would probably call a campaign of sustained bad faith. They knew that all that Kavanaugh had to do during his confirmation hearings when he was asked about the hot button topic of abortion, and they went over this in their own private strategy sessions, and this was apparent during the prep sessions that involved Kavanaugh himself, that they didn't need to tell him what to do, so to speak. He had been around the block many, many times on stuff like this. So then Judge Kavanaugh instinctively understood that when you were publicly asked about the issue, you just say that, oh, Roe v. Wade is precedent, and I respect that. If you talk to then senior Trump White House officials who were intimately involved with this, they'll tell you that it was known to everybody in the know from President Trump on down that when a conservative nominee says that, it means what it needs to mean to the conservative base. It means he or she is very pro-life, and they know what to do with Roe v. Wade. Donald Trump said privately, repeatedly, as much as we detailed in our reporting. And their strategy was very simple. If people like Susan Collins or the Susan Collins of the world want to take that to mean something different than what any person on our side knows it to mean, that is entirely up to them. So really, if you think about this in a way of Susan Collins was essentially conned into putting anti-Roe v. Wade justices on the bench like Kavanaugh, like Neil Gorsuch, it works the way a lot of cons do and the way a lot of scams do in the real world, which is this is clearly someone who was openly, to put it in cynical terms, inviting people to con her. People in the Trump White House knew that all that they needed to give her was a patina of cover to get to a yes. And that's exactly what she gave them. So again, I don't have a crystal ball here, but either Susan Collins knew what she was doing at the time, knew what people on the right and in the Trump White House and in Kavanaugh land were doing, or she's an incredibly naive person. I'm sorry to sound so blunt, but there aren't really that many options between those two camps.
Right, because what you're saying is either she wasn't listening to what Trump himself was saying on the campaign trail repeatedly, or there's an entire conservative language, right? Sort of like nod and wink around what you say as code language for this, that somehow everyone in Trump land knew, but a Republican senator does not. I mean, it's pretty hard to accept that disconnect.
No, absolutely. And that's why when we reported in the story that she was quote unquote conned into helping to ensure the very likely and imminent death of Roe v. Wade, it was something where she at least wanted to be conned, or at least left herself open, wide open to having that done to her. And again, it's one of these situations where a former senior Trump administration official described it to us as David Mamet talk, basically, where people in the know what they're talking about. But again, if the Susan Collins of the world wanted to allow themselves, however credulously, to believe that it meant something else other than what it clearly meant to mean, you'll have to ask Susan Collins about that.